잠깐만. 너무 달라졌잖아. 잠깐만. What? 회의실 어디야? 오! Welcome to the whiteboard ending. 어? 뭐야? 아 이거 장난인가? 뭐예요?
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
아, 오케이. 바뀌었는데 여기 문 2개 있네요.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
오케이. 오케이. 잠깐만. 뭐? 잠깐만. 제 게임에서 길치가 돼서 어디로 왔는지 잘 모르겠다.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
잠깐만. 이거 안 본 것 같은데? 아까 봤나? To do. Synergize, core value, expenditures. 자, 영어 잘하시는 분들 도와주세요. 무슨 뜻이야? Shift global market power, monetize free to play. Everyone is unique. You most of all. 자, 다른 어딨어? 오케이. 다음 슬라이드요. Rate which charts on the same slide depict the same information. 다음 슬라이드요. Rate of increase in graphs per slide. What? The boss appreciation minute. 월크시트 어딨어? 너무 빨라. 이런 것도 다 번역해 주셨으면 좋았을 텐데. 그죠? 슬라이드도 여러 개가 있군요. 다 돌았네.
Stanley just stood there doing nothing at all. He seems to think I have nothing better to do with my time than to sit around and describe Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
눌러요? 아, 이거 불이구나. Fireworks.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming! He yelled. This is all a dream. Oh,
정말
what a relief
악몽이네요,
Stanley
악몽.
felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid.
오,
So,
루시드
he
드림이네요.
imagined himself flying and began to gently float
와우.
above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that of course...
아, 이거 영국 게임에서 할 거예요? 왜 이렇게...
How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself?
영국
Believing that
유머인데?
if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one.
이건 꿈이야.
Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please. It's all
No,
I
아니야.
want.
난 이 꿈이 좋아.
I want my apartment and my wife and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal.
너무 크리피해요.
Everything will be
목소리.
fine. I am okay.
전혀 괜찮지 않은 목소리인데? 성우님 괜찮아요?
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone
What?
tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I?
Who
And
am
it was
I?
black.
난
This
누구지?
is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work.
Huh?
But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
뭐야, 그래서 스탠리가 죽었다는 거야? 아니, 앰뷸런스를 부른다면서요. 부른 거야? 자기 생각에 빠져서 안 부른 거 아니에요? 헬로, 우리 어너더 엔딩을 또 봤어요? 다시 여기로 왔어. 이번에. 뭐죠? 아까랑 이거 오케이?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
오케이. 아, 왼쪽을 끝장을 보겠어. 여긴 번호가 없지 왜?
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Nope. 아니 근데 그 버튼 안 누르는 거를 초이스를 주면 갈 텐데 아까처럼 그냥 문이 열려버리면.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had
말을
left
끝내기
his
전에
post
빨리
during work
가본다.
hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished.
뭐죠? A, B,
His
11,
boss would think
12도?
he was crazy.
어?
And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he
1,
thought
2,
to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange
뭐야?
observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet
왜 돌고
when he
돌지?
looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for
시간
that
좀
matter,
볼까요?
these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it.
우리 지금 같은 엔딩에 온 거 아니에요?
Dreaming! He yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally
다시 할까요?
found an
이거
answer,
같은 엔딩
an
같은데?
explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid.
계속 가볼까요?
He imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground.
우후.
Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so
Whoa.
much fun, and Stanley
Whoa,
marveled that he
이거
had
완전
still
예쁘다.
not woken up. How was he remaining so
아이 계속
lucid?
떠다니게
And then
해줘.
perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was
갑시다. 이거 같은 엔딩인 것 같아요.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push.